Hey, Scott Jordan and Mark Warner here for Jancast number 183, our first show from 2025. Even though we've had other shows, they weren't exactly real shows, but January 23rd, 2025. And Mark, I got something really special for you. You know, I'm a big fan of artificial intelligence, and I think this is going to change Jancast. Oh, yeah. This is the slow version. Wait.
Tune in to Jancast time to clean the air. Sparkling ideas you're aware. From the floors to the sky, let's make it new. Jancast will see this mission through.
Oh, yeah.
Jan-
That beautiful?
That's beautiful.
That's an AI generated theme song for Jancast.
I
Another
like it.
AI creation. Amazing.
I'm not sure what to say.
So I
And
put in write a theme song for Jancast, podcasting for a cleaner and healthier world, and it came up. I didn't write those words. It wrote them. The AI wrote them, and I guess you could really fine tune it. You could say make it sound like so and so, but I only did two versions. But hey, there you go. There's 2025. Jancast is now brand new with a theme song. So from now on, we'll plug that. I'll plug that. I'll edit that in at the beginning since we had some technical difficulties trying to how to figure this out.
in the end, I think it came right through. So that's all right. It's just
So there's the show. Okay, that's it. See you next time,
fine-tuning our
folks.
skills here. Well, not really. I mean, technically, we have a lot to talk about.
Yes, I know. I was just joking. That was so spectacular. I thought we could end on it. But
We can. We can fade out with that.
oh, there you go. Okay. Okay.
All
Well,
right.
let's get to the show because we got a lot of stuff going on here. What happened 5 years ago, huh?
5 years ago, this year, in fact, March of 2025 is specifically the 50th year anniversary of the closure of the world.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as of January of 2020, that's when the world was made aware of the outbreak in Wuhan.
Yep.
And the United States' first outbreak was in the Northwest, Seattle or Portland. I think it was Seattle. And it
Hmm.
was somebody that had been traveling. So, they brought it along with them. But that was the first documented case. I say that on purpose in the US. What we found out since then, though, Scott, is that it very likely was circulating a little bit before that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just wasn't picking up any media. People weren't really sure. I mean, who calls the media when they catch a cold, right?
Well,
So,
it's hard to believe it's been 5 years, but my daughter and I, Nikki, were in Costa Rica surfing, and we started seeing this. This was right at the beginning of February. We started seeing stuff on the news, and we're working away, sending out emails and all that. And the other people that were there, like, well, how come you guys are working all every day? It's like, and we're like, you have no idea. I mean, we had no idea either, right? I mean,
right.
knew what was coming, but we're down in Costa Rica, and we got out a week after we left. If you were there, you couldn't have left, and if you were planning on going, you couldn't go. So I guess it was fortunate that we were able to get out, and even though, but you couldn't even go in the water down there when they really put it in place. They had police on the beaches stopping you from going, which is really crazy if you think about it. But they just wanted to do 100% social distancing, and literally you're out. I mean, how could you be contagious out in the middle of the ocean, you know? But yeah, it was pretty crazy. And then from there on, it was like, let's, you know,
Actually,
never knew what was
they
coming.
they didn't know if the ocean was a causative factor. I mean, there was so much we didn't know,
Yeah, yeah,
and it kind of revealed to all of us just
yep,
how unprepared we are. Not just as a society, but as a world, how
Yeah.
unprepared we are for some of these unexpected pathogenic microorganisms. But I'll tell you what, it saved Tom Cruise in the movie War of the Worlds.
That's right. Well, I saved him from that crazy guy in the basement. Yeah.
Well, that might have been more physical. But
Yes.
anyway, so
I forgot about
so
that.
so what brings all that up? It's the fifth anniversary, and part of what we were talking about earlier was the whole world has somewhat gotten so much more conscious of infectious diseases. So back 5, 10 years ago, we used to talk a lot about floor care and carpet care and you
Yep.
know uh, odor counteraction.
Yeah.
That was pretty much where everything revolved, and highly infectious, highly contagious, potentially lethal diseases were left to things like stories about Ebola, which were pretty random.
Hmm.
But now we're pretty sensitized by all that, and
Yeah.
everybody's probably caught on the news that norovirus is spiking all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We've been getting calls about norovirus, the fact that this particular strain is a mutation and it is a quote unquote a new strain of norovirus. So everybody's trying to find out, well, wow, do we need new disinfectants? Do
Yeah.
we need to do
Is the
new
product effective that we
protocol?
thought was effective, right? Yep.
Yeah, so everybody's questioning it, and they're right to question it. Uh, because it is a good question, and there are certain
Yeah.
pathogens where we do identify specific strains. But as you and I know,
Yep.
that's not how this particular one works. Human norovirus does not survive well in a petri dish. So you can't really test human norovirus in a lab. So
Yeah.
what the EPA decided they would do is allow two surrogate pathogen noroviruses, which are zoonotic. We'll get into that word later.
Oh yeah. I
But
love
the
that. I like that
idea
word.
that if it is more difficult to kill, and you do two surrogates,
Yep.
you are good for making a norovirus claim on all strains.
Yep. Yep.
And so that was really, really something. And Scott, I'm doing all the talking here, but you're the one that uncovered that.
Well, we had the question from our customer, and you and I both kind of scratched our heads saying, wow, I haven't had that question before. And we had to do a little bit of research on it. And I will post below the Jancast on the Jancast page where we publish the show, the EPA document that kind of outlines the whole thing because you can't argue it if, I think it was like a 15-page document talking about all the stuff that you just said is that here's why we have to do it this way because there's no other way to test it. So it was very enlightening just because we hadn't, surprisingly, I would have thought we would have had that question many, many, many times and would have gone, oh, yeah, of course, it's here's the explanation for it. But we really had to check into it. So we'll put the document up because I'm sure other people are thinking about it too, especially as it continues to get worse. And then we have to worry about going to the zoo, right?
Yeah, kind of. So that takes us into that whole term zoonotic. And doing training classes and so on, when I've used that term, people look at me and they go, well, what? A what? What are you saying? But zoonotic is a term that's used to refer to diseases that travel through animals into humans. So you think about, like, probably the most famous is Ebola.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that Ebola came from bat guano, and then some animal feasted on something and got contracted
Hmm.
whatever disease it was from the bat guano, which is an interesting turn. Why do bats poop is the only poop we refer to as guano? I don't know, but
That's
that's
another
kind of.
that's another show in itself.
But with that said, I mean that's called a zoonotic, so it's traveling through animals, and that's the most famous. But since then, we've had a lot of these things. I mean, think about bird flu, think about swine flu, think
Hmm.
about mad cow disease. These are all zoonotics. So
Yeah.
the whole zoonotic thing has become a really big term that we're using. And tied into all that, recently there was notification that the CDC had received funding to expand their research on zoonotics. And the EPA and the CDC and all the infection control practitioners are all teaming up on that because the world needs to know more about it and what
Yeah.
we need to do about it.
Well, it is a dangerous one. Yeah.
I'm scratching my head. Where did that word come from, you think, zoonotic, Scott? Do you have any idea?
Other than the zoo, it goes way back. Goes way back.
Did the Greeks, maybe?
Yep, yep, that's right. We're all learning something today, right?
So looking it up, it says that zoonotic is a spin-off of the word zoonosis.
Hmm.
Zoonosis is a combination of two Greek words, zoon and nosen, and it was termed in the 19th century by Rudolf Virchow.
Oh, I know him. Yeah.
So anyway, it means human diseases caused by animals. So there you go. So
Uh,
if there was nothing other that people could take away from today's show, they now know the origin of the word zoonotic,
Other than the new theme song, you mean?
other than the new theme song. But they'll hear that again. They may not hear the definition in these
Yeah,
other.
I am gonna cut in when we do the editing. You don't have to do the screen share thing. I'm gonna put the full 2 minute Jancast theme song at the end. But I'll do it when after we're finished recording.
All right. So do we have to like kind of space out at the end? Like we'll say bye everybody, and then we'll go like,
Yeah, exactly.
okay. So
For those of you not watching, that was Mark looking off into the sky. Like
yeah, yeah, there you go.
I
So
always hear that on I always hear that on podcasts. For those of you that are just listening in, Mark just did a looking at the clouds.
yeah, so that is
Well, what else is going on other
well
than
tied into
disease and
that.
everything else?
I thought another disease might be worth talking about. The one that got nicknamed monkeypox for a long time, but
Yeah,
that's a term that nobody's using at all anymore. But it's MPV, and there's been an outbreak of HMPV, indicating human, uh, uh, essentially like monkeypox,
yeah.
MPV, a human version. Well, the designation of it being human means that it's what? Zoonotic. Otherwise, it wouldn't have to differentiate between the human and
Hmm.
the animal. So, anyway, that's what's going on out there, and it's kind of worth talking about.
Well, I guess the good news with all this stuff we've gone through in the last 5 years, it's changed the whole industry and everything else. And then we got AI. I mean, I'm fooling around with AI doing theme songs, but there's people using AI for robotic floor machines and all that stuff. I mean, technology is the really cool thing is it's happening so quickly that, like a month ago, I couldn't have done that theme song thing because there was no app even available for it.
Well,
Uh,
speaking of AI, and it's getting various kinds of rap. Some people really love it, and some people are terrified of it, right?
yep.
Because it has potential for harm. But where I think it's so fascinating is its ability to do research. Scott, you and I spent
Yeah.
an hour
Yep.
trying to find out about what we could help people with norovirus.
Yeah.
And you told me that you spent much less time at the end. I think the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah,
You want to share that?
so I'm going on the internet trying to find out about what kills norovirus and all these different ones, and I couldn't get a clear answer. So I went to ChatGPT and put it in there. And the coolest thing is it came back within 10 seconds with the answer. But then I said, show me your sources of that information because ChatGPT and these other AI things sometimes they call it hallucinating, where they sometimes get the facts wrong. So it's always good if you ask, like, show me the sources, and that's where it gave me the link for the EPA document that spelled it out 100%. But literally, yeah, you and I both took at least a half an hour, 45 minutes trying to figure it out. You actually reached out to some of your expert friends on the cleaning standards thing, and I mean, we got some half decent info back from them, but it wasn't as clear and concise as what we got through ChatGPT. So, yeah, I mean,
You think
pretty
about
amazing.
the ramifications of using AI to help with research.
Yep.
Maybe we'll cure the common cold. Maybe we'll cure cancer by using AI.
Yeah.
It's got the ability to do all that research in a split second.
Yeah.
Really, really fascinating. And, the whole movement of the industry is towards, healthy people.
Yep.
We were talking with Gavin,
Yeah.
Dr. Gavin McGregor Skinner, who's,
Yep.
by the way, a friend and ambassador of Jancast.com and the Bowling companies. And keynote speaker at the upcoming Experience Show down in Florida.
Yeah.
But he's on a campaign to promote healthy buildings, healthy people.
It's a nice simple phrase there. Healthy
Yeah.
buildings, healthy people, and it relates to the facts, right?
Well, I think all that is what's creating what we're looking at in the future here, Scott.
Yeah.
And, in the news, we were seeing some headlines about the expectations of what's going to happen in our industry. And I forget what that number was. It is big.
36.8 billion by 2028. So yeah, I mean, I remember my dad early on saying, you know, the first thing businesses do before they close is they clean, and the first thing they do when business is really good is they clean. So as long as they don't go completely out of business, and this is indicating that we're going to see an increase to 36 billion by 2028, it's because it's a whole new world of expectations and what people want to see as far as in their facilities, and they know more about it now. Like, I mean, we've indoor air quality. We've talked about that numerous shows before. If they just waited, what was the time period between cleaning and letting the kids back in the classroom? It would have
12
eliminated a
minutes.
lot of cost. What's that?
12 minutes.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
using Dinesh Wadhwani's air monitoring unit,
yeah,
they were able to determine in some school districts that the process of sanitizing cafeteria tables disrupted the air enough to make it somewhat a threat for 12 minutes immediately following the sanitizing of tabletops.
yeah.
So
It's crazy.
they incorporated a policy to allow a 10-minute time for the air to precipitate,
Yep.
drop out of the air, out of the breathing space, things that might have been disrupted through the act of cleaning. So who knew all that, Scott? If you'd
Yeah.
asked me that before COVID, we weren't even studying air back then.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, after the fact, it's like, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. But nobody was, I mean, we're cleaning vegetables and stuff back
Right.
then,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean,
I mean, the
crazy.
amazing thing about this growth of the industry is that kind of puts everybody involved with the cleaning industry kind of in the limelight, center stage, because everybody wants to know about it. And we, because we're all in the cleaning industry, are the people everybody else turns to. Like, hey, well, how should I do it? And what should I
Yep.
use? And all
Yep.
that kind of stuff. And that makes us more important in that sense to society than what people have maybe traditionally thought.
Yeah.
And then with that growth, I mean, what's even more intense than the growth of the industry is the growth of Jancast.com.
What a segue. What a segue, boy. Yeah. So last year, if you look at our YouTube channel, the views do not reflect the actual views. We're still trying to figure that out, but we did get some official results that last year we had 6,312 views of Jancast, specifically just Jancast, which that's pretty impressive. I mean, from a advertising standpoint, yeah, a magazine maybe has a larger circulation, but I think 6,000 views is 6,000 people actually watching and listening to our show versus flipping a magazine. And yeah, you saw the ad, but I think hopefully we're bringing value to the audience out there. But yeah, it's always nice to get 6,312 views for last year. So it has a metric now that we can work on achieving in 2025.
I think
Or
we
beating.
also need to tell Google metrics that their system, or I don't know, YouTube, whoever was giving us the weird counts on
Yeah.
things.
And then with the new Jancast theme song, obviously we're just going to go completely viral. That's all I can figure.
No doubt.
Or people will turn it off. But
So
so
that's a beautiful segue
with that
right there,
with that
Scott.
said, let's all listen to the full Jancast theme song right now. But see you later, Mark, and
Thank you, everybody.
let's
Thanks for
all
listening.
let's all listen up.
Tune in to Jancast time to clean the air. Sparkling ideas, you're aware. From the floors to the sky, let's make it new. Jancast will see this mission through. Jancast.com, where clean begins. Podcasting dreams where fresh winds. Eco thoughts and healthy spins. Jancast.com, let's dive in. Dust off the doubts and shine the day. Insights clear to light our way. From scrub to eco tips, bright and true. Jancast here for me and you. Jancast.com, where clean begins. Podcasting dreams where fresh winds. Eco thoughts and healthy spins. Jancast.com, let's dive in. Dust off the doubts and shine the day. Insights clear to light our way. From scrub to eco tips, bright and true. Jancast here for me and you.